All right. Well, welcome everyone to our Monday night call. I'm Megan Garrity. I'm a diamond with Plexus, and I am so excited tonight. When I was thinking about who I wanted to have jump on this call, this person immediately came to mind because something that I think that is so important to success in Plexus is having firm belief in what our products can do. And I met Kristy Barkley back in, I don't even know what year it was. Was it 2018, 2019? I feel, yeah, it was a long time ago. Um, at Jules training and hearing her story with Plexus and what it has done for her, just built my belief even more in what we do and what we're sharing because she has such an incredible testimony to share and she has found great success with the products in the business. She is an emerald and I don't want to tell too much of your story or get into it because I want you to tell that. So I'm going to hand it on over. And then at the end of the call, if there's time, we'll do some question and answers and we'll do a giveaway. So make sure you stick around for the whole thing. So Kristy, you want to take it away?
Thanks, Megan. So Megan and I met at Jules training in 2018. Um, and it was amazing. So I'm just going to start with my health testimony, which I think some people have heard. I think it's been shared a lot of times, like just the text version. Um, but opportunities like these, I get a little non-compliant, but it is the true um, story of Kristy Barkley. So in 2008, I sustained a really, really awful concussion. It was they guess probably number 20. I had had over 20 concussions at the time. And the question I always get is, how did you get so many concussions? So I'll just go ahead and clear that up. I cheered competitively in high school, and then I also played rugby in college. So I had gotten many concussions in my lifetime. And the one in '08, I just happened to be standing on the back of our boat holding my daughter at the time, who was an infant, and I slipped. And because I was holding her, I didn't catch myself. So the back of my head hit the back of the boat. Like if you ever are on a ski boat and there's like the kind of where you stand and then this part's the boat. So that's where I hit my head. And at the time, I worked for an NHL team in the front office. And so I had truly the best neurologists, the best doctors. I had doctors surrounding me that know how to help professional athletes recover from concussions. And about 6 months in, they just said, it doesn't look like you're going to recover. And this was in '08. There wasn't a lot of science and research back then. I mean, at the time, the NFL was denying that their players were even having symptoms from concussion. Like it just wasn't talked about like it is now, where it's on the front of everybody's mind. These days, everybody is scared of concussions. In '08, everybody was like, stay in a room with no lights for a couple days and you're going to be fine. But about 6 months in, they said, you're not going to get any better. And so they actually retired me from my job and said, you probably will never work again. So that was in 2008. And by 2014, I was very, very sick. So I was mostly nonverbal. I had, because I was having cognitive testing every 6 months, the decline of my memory was so rapid by then that I was diagnosed with early onset dementia. I couldn't drive. I didn't even really go on walks because I would get lost in my neighborhood. I would, our family played what we called the picture album game, and we would all sit around and look at photo albums back before everything was digital. And they would say, Mom, do you remember this? Do you remember that? And I have 4 kids, and I just didn't. I didn't remember. I didn't have any recollection of my very first marriage. So that just is kind of a glimpse of how sick I was. And again, at that time, they were still saying that the brain couldn't heal. They were saying that once you've lost memory, it cannot be regained. And so my long-term memory was gone. My short-term memory was pretty non-existent. My son got his hardship driver's license at 14 because I couldn't drive him, and he went to a private school and there was no school bus. So he started driving at 14. and he was able to like do groceries. And basically, if you have a really sick parent, the kid can get a driver's license. So he was doing all of that, and I just was sick and dying. They told my husband in 2014, they said essentially, you've got a couple okay years. So by 2016, they said I would not recognize my children. They said by 2018, I would be completely in assisted living because just Alzheimer's would be so progressed at that point that, if you know anybody in your family, I feel like most of us are familiar with somebody who has dementia or Alzheimer's, and it gets very hard for the family to take care of them. So they said by 2018, they'd have to put me in assisted living, and that by 2020, I would be dead. Because the plaque was growing so quickly on my brain. And they felt certain that I had CTE, which, if you know much about football or football players, anytime a football player typically commits suicide or dies, if the family gives them permission to study the brain, they all have CTE. It's very common. So fast forward to 2015, and a friend of mine posted about Plexus, and she had lost weight. And here's the thing, and now I can really look at it and say, and I don't want to overstep my bounds because I know every team is different, but it was such a God thing because I wanted to try it because I had gained weight. Because prior to my injury, I was a marathon runner and have run a lot of full marathons, a gazillion half marathons. And I just was never, I called myself athletic. I was never big. I was never like a twig, but I was never big. And I wasn't actually, for health reasons, permitted to get my heart rate above 120, or it would cause swelling in my brain. So as you can imagine, I was getting just bigger. And she had lost weight, and I called her, and she goes, I don't really do anything, and I don't really know what I'm doing, but my friend who I ordered it from said I look really good. She said I should post this picture. I'm not sure that I'm not the only person that she ever sold to. Like, she maybe sold to like 5 more people. You guys, she never posted. She never did anything. She never worked the business. It was truly a God thing that I saw that, and I just ordered. And at the time that I ordered from her, the triplex and accelerator, I was on 13 prescriptions, and I took approximately 20 Advil a day. And just so you know, when you're like, oh my God, that could kill you, my migraine specialist and my neurologist said I would die of a brain injury before liver failure. And so taking that much medicine and Advil is what I needed to get up. My alarm would go off in the morning, and I would take a certain medicine to start waking up. So that was an all day long thing. I just took medicine and Advil all day, and still I was probably in bed 18 hours a day. My children whispered for years, literally whispered, because I couldn't handle sound, I couldn't handle light, and that was just the way that we lived. And within 3 weeks, I was not hardly taking Advil, you guys. And I took the products in before, like I ordered them, of course, because you don't think a lot when you have dementia. You really just do. But when it all came, I took it into my psychiatrist, who was really in charge of managing all of my prescriptions with all the doctors and everything. It would all go through him. He looked at everything. He goes, I don't know that this is going to do anything for you, but it's not going to have any effect on your medicines. So whatever, you do you. If you want to take it, you take it. So I did. And literally within 3 weeks, I was not hardly taking Advil at all. My head just didn't hurt. I was not having headaches. And my migraines were like 4 to 5 a week where I was not getting out of bed. And they went down to like 2 a week. And my psychiatrist, because I saw him every month, because when you're on that much medicine and you're that sick, they're just kind of managing everything. So, he's taking my vitals every month. He's asking a million questions. I obviously am getting more clear with being able to answer, because originally I didn't talk much and I was very slow. Um, so he was like, okay, whatever, you just do that. My husband really didn't know anything except for about 3, 4 weeks in. He's like, what did, what is this stuff that you ordered? And I was like, I don't really know. It's this pink drink stuff. And I don't know. And he goes, okay, well, just keep taking it because we have not seen this version of you in years. And so that, just so you guys know, my husband's name for the 18 years we've been together is Budget Barkley. He does not like to spend money, period, ever, for anything. So I'm getting better. It's getting great. 2.5 months in to me getting better, you guys, I'm still not super verbal. I'm still not leaving my house. Like it's not like I took it and then I was like, I'm healed, everything's great. Like it was a slow process of, I don't want you to, but the head pain was very quick. The digestion was very quick, obviously, and other things just slowly got better. But the crazy thing is that about 2.5 months into my journey, my husband lost his job, and Budget Barkley, canceled everything. So imagine having 4 kids and no cable, no streaming services. No, he canceled every single thing that costs money except for Plexus. And so we did that for a month. And then he came to me and he said, hey, so Isaac, who was our oldest son, was going to be a senior. And he went to private school and it's super expensive. And he said, you need to figure out how to cancel Isaac's contract with school. And I was like, well, no. I mean, he's gone to school there since 3rd grade. And he said, we actually can't pay for it. Like, you have to call them and get out of this contract because we can't afford it. And I was like, I think people make money selling this stuff that I take. And he was like, you don't even talk to people. And I was like, I know, but I'm so much better. Like, people that have known me from before I was sick and then have kind of watched me, people that were with me through the whole time, they tell stories. And I, of course, don't remember, but they'll tell stories about like where I would post things to Facebook and they were like, what does this even mean? Like the words coming out of my mouth were not making any sense at all, apparently, with my post. And I was like, I'm getting better. And he was like, this is how much you have to make a month. And I said, well, let me try. And you guys, before I was even able to like pick up the phone and talk to somebody, I was selling Plexus. I could type slowly. I could Facebook message slowly. I could text message slowly. And the crazy thing is, and this comes down to beyond my health journey, my business story is my very first why was making sure that my son finished school at the school he had gone to since 3rd grade. And I needed to make about $1,250 a month for him to stay in there. And you guys, I just figured it out. I was not verbal in the way, like I could say like, go get laundry, but I'm not calling somebody and being like, all right, let's go over your health goals. What you need is like, that wasn't happening. You guys, I did not have my first phone call with a potential about Plexus until I was Ruby. And I share that because there's so many excuses that people make of why they can't do it. And really it is that their why isn't big enough. And if it meant that I had to type and text every human I knew to earn enough money to keep my child in school, that was 100% what I was going to do. And I slowly just got better. And people could see that. People who had known me for a long time could see that. Um, and and so I will tell you, it's hard to be on my team because I don't do well with excuses as a leader. I just don't. Like you're like, well, I'm too nervous to talk to people. Then your why isn't big enough. Because I was too nervous that my son wasn't going to graduate with all of his friends, is what I was so nervous about. I did not know what network marketing was. All I knew is some people were making money, and and I would get these congratulations, like I was on leaderboards, and I was like, I don't know what that means. Like I wasn't even really coherent enough to have a clue what was happening. All I knew is I was like, how much do I need to sell to make this much money so that my husband will let my son stay in school? And that's all I knew. And so that's who I am, and my why has evolved. Clearly, there are no signs of my brain injury anymore. I could do this all night long. I could tell this story all night long. I can train, I can coach, I love it. I will tell you, because people also ask, what else did you take? What else made a difference? So triplex, of course, because listen, if you've been with Plexus for a hot minute, you should already know about the gut brain axis. Also, I am the least scientific person ever. So I will never tell you an ingredient. I will tell you if it, what it makes you feel like. I don't know anything. And I don't try to. That is not, there are info sheets. If you have somebody that wants to know the ingredients, there are info sheets for that. I am not your person. You don't have to be that person. Listen, I'm a Jewel. I can maybe name 3 ingredients total in our entire line. So you don't have to know anything. Don't ever let the knowledge hold you back. But so triplex. And then my very first Super Saturday, when they used to be at all the different destinations, there was one in Nashville, which is where I lived, and Mega X came out. Now, I had been using fish oil since '08 because that's what you take when you have a brain injury. I had never seen any change in my memory from any amount of fish oil ever. And within about 6 weeks of Mega X, I was actually answering questions that my family, like they'd be having conversations, never expecting me to chime in because, listen, I didn't remember anything. And I'll just never forget being in the car and like naming some actress that was in some movie that they were talking about, and the car went silent. And I was like, oh, did I get it wrong again? And they were like, no. How do you remember that? And I was like, I don't know. It's pretty awesome. And it was something as simple as that, but it was so huge that I will never, ever forget the silence in my car with all 4 kids and my husband, of everybody just being like, Mom was right. Like I hadn't been right for years, y'all. I had been wrong for a solid 7 years about almost everything. I never even knew where my kids were, even though if they told me 10 minutes earlier. So Mega X, I think everybody needs, if they have any type of brain issue whatsoever, period. And then although Vital Biome now, if I stop taking it, I get a little snippy. Just gonna say, I should not. I've tried it a couple times, like I don't really need it. I really need it. Otherwise, I just kind of snip at my kids or husband. But when it very first came out, my productivity increased like triple. So when it very first came out, I could do a team call, but then I would lay down for a couple hours. So I could chat, I would train, I would do a book study, and then I would lay down for 2 to 3 hours, and then I'd get back up and do stuff. So that was probably when I was about Ruby. So again, doing stuff, talking, things we never thought I would do, never knowing if I would get better. But then Vital Biome came out, and I started to be able to do more, or I would do a call and I wouldn't be tired at the end. I would then like do a load of laundry. So that's not something that's talked about much. Um, but coming from a place of anything I did that required my brain to function, causing me to be super tired, Vital Biome took that away. And so those are the ones like when people come to me and they say, hey, I have somebody with a brain injury or I have somebody who's had a concussion, what should they absolutely have? And that's the order I suggest, because of course it's based on budget. We don't want to make anybody uncomfortable, but triplex, of course. Then if it fits Mega X, and then if it fits Vital Biome. And to me, those are just non-negotiables. So I have just talked for 20 minutes. I don't know if anybody has questions. I didn't have my readers on, so I don't know what the chat said.
Well, the chat says that people like your story has touched so many tonight. Like as you were talking, I was sitting here thinking like, this is 4 years past when doctors told you you would be dead. And here you are thriving. You are sharing your story with us. And like, I would have no idea that you had any sort of brain injury or history with that. Hearing you speak, interacting with you. And so it's just incredible. Like one thing that stood out to me is that you said your upline maybe sold to 5 other people. She made that post. And like, if she hadn't made that post, like, that was probably scary for her. But if she hadn't made that post, like, how would your life be different? How would people's lives underneath you be different? And so like, it's just incredible to know how one action trickles down to so many people.
I'm so glad that you shared that because oftentimes, if I'm coaching somebody or training somebody and they're embarrassed to post or what should I post or nobody cares. And I share that a lot. What if Nicole hadn't have posted? I would legit have died 4 years ago. My children, some of y'all, I know Lisa, you've met my husband. Megan, you've met my husband at like Emerald Extravaganza. He's bananas. Could you imagine him raising 4 kids? Holy bejesus. Like, he's the funnest person you've ever met in your life. You do not want him to be a single dad of 4. But that's what, yes, and the testimonies of the people in my downline, but truly because she shared. And what I like to tell people is, hey, and you know what? The thing is, she thought it was only weight loss, is all she thought that it was. Had she known, like I tell people, hey, if you have a friend that has migraines and you are not doing everything you can to get them to order triplex, you're not a very good friend. Because having suffered from migraines for years, like it wipes you out. If you've never had one, like think your lucky stars, because when you have them, it so wipes you out and you are a horrible mom. And what you're just miserable when you're having one. And so if you know somebody that has them and you're not at least saying, hey, this might really change everything for you,
Right. So, yeah. So
because you're embarrassed of yourself. Like,
right.
Like, that's so selfish. Like, don't be selfish. This changes lives, you guys.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So I know you're not, well, first of all, I've never heard your story. I don't even know why I never even asked to hear your story, but I've never heard your story. So it's amazing. Second of all, I know you're not an ingredient guru, so you might not know this answer, but when you were taking your fish oils, do you know which omegas was in that fish oil? Because in our omegas, we have all the omegas in the gel capsule, not just omegas 3s, 2s, 5, whatever. We have all of them from the flower, the ahi flower, how you say it.
Yeah.
So I was curious if all the omegas in your Mega X is what did the trick versus whatever you were taking before.
I think so, because that is when I say I know like 3 ingredients, I know that our omega is all plant-based.
Right.
And it's got them all. And typically the fish oils, like if you go look at one on the shelf, it's literally like 3 and 5, I think.
Right.
Like I don't know that the fish oil has
Right.
all
And
of the omegas.
right. And guys, that's another point that I want to make here is get to know, I mean, besides Kristy, but get to know what is in your products that can help people. Like all those, maybe you guys didn't realize that in our omegas has all the omegas in it, and it comes from a flower. They squeeze out the omegas from the flower. So if you do not know about the products, maybe just spend a little bit of time and seeing what's in there, because you truly could help somebody. So that was good.
Or like if you're not an ingredient person like Kristy and I think if you have a story to connect with the products, because sometimes stories connect just as much as ingredients do. You have to cater to different audiences. But now you have a story to go with, Vital Biome and Mega X that Kristy shared, some of our
Yeah, because
unsung heroes.
typically a doctor will tell a human, you need to be on a probiotic, a multivitamin, and an omega. But I've never had a doctor be clear on the fact that there are different omegas. But you can be clear on that now, because most people, they hear omega and they just automatically go buy the buy one get one at Kroger thing that says fish oil super big, and then they hate it because they burp up fishy, or they take their multivitamin and their pee smells like grass and it's super discolored. Like, I don't know anything about ingredients, but I know enough to tell somebody, hey, if your pee stinks real bad and it's a different color, that's actually your vitamin. It's not, that means it's not in you.
Right.
Like,
It's
again, least scientific person ever. And that's how I explain it. Like, if you're taking one and now it stinks and it's yuck, then it didn't actually stay in you.
Right.
Like, try ours for 60 days and see if you see a difference.
Yeah, that's why ours, ours are bioavailable, so that's good.
Yeah, there's a lot of science behind why our multivitamin is different, but people like me, we don't actually really care. But if you told me, hey, have you noticed this and this? I would be like, yes. And they'd be like, oh, that's not good.
Yeah.
Right? Same as when somebody starts the probiotic and they start to maybe have some detox. And then my first response is, that's so amazing, because that means it's working. Yeah. They're like, well, I've always taken a probiotic and I've never had this before. And I was like, oh, that's because ours is so much better.
Mm-hmm.
If you didn't notice any change, it wasn't actually doing anything. You're wasting your money.
Yeah. Megan, did you see the 2 questions that were asked?
Nope, I was
there. I read them. So
oh.
There's 2 questions: is
okay.
How many Vital Biome and which Slim are you recommending?
I take 2 Vital Biome. And the Slim, when I started, it was just the OG Slim. Oh. I have one just because it's in my drawer and it's hard as a rock for like my memory. It's gonna like be buried with me or something. It's in my top drawer of my desk. These days, I will tell you my favorite combo is, before I work out in the morning, I do sweet tea mixed with Peach Active, or sweet tea mixed with lemon hydrate. And that's what I have first thing in the morning before I work out. And then, because I know that Restore is really good for me, and I also, even though it tastes so much better than it did 2 years ago, I still think it tastes like yuck. I mix my Restore with 2 scoops of collagen, a scoop of Restore, and black cherry Slim, and it tastes like cotton candy.
Now,
so yeah.
Quick question. So you said you had taken 20 Advil a day for a lot of years. Did you have your like liver numbers tested, and like you can have something to compare it to, like after you've been on Restore for a while?
No.
Okay.
But I did have that blood work, so I bet I could. I bet you're right, because I have had those numbers done, and that would be something really fascinating. I will tell you, just because I think everybody is having a different kind of Restore story, and I don't know that we have any like life-changing Restore stories yet. I don't drink, and yet my detox from Restore was pretty brutal. And so I had to take my own advice, like I am with people with triplex, and just freaking write it out. like my husband, every time he'd see me mixing, he's like, "Oh God, you drinking that again?" And I'm like, "It's gonna get better." And he's like, "I don't know. I don't, when is it gonna get better?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I don't know, but it's gonna get just," and it's finally, I would say that I am on the upside of it's so much better. I am probably on this is probably beginning of week 6 of Restore for me. And maybe it's different for people that don't mix it with other things. I don't know. I really like it when it tastes like cotton candy. And I reached out to BB from Plexus and I said, "Hey, can you ask Dr. Hartman if this is okay? That this is what I'm doing? Am I messing it up in any way?" And she got back to me and she said, "No, you're good. It will still be just as effective the way you're doing it." And I'm like, "That's awesome, because I would rather have ice cream, but I'm going to drink this and it tastes like cotton candy and that's better for me." So that's
Exactly.
my write it out, because I feel like, again, didn't Datha just say like it's been amazing for her? Like, people that have had it longer than me really have great things to say. My hormones went wackadoodle. Also, I'm 51, so the doctors say that's normal also. So blame it on whatever you want.
Well, Kristy, I so appreciate you sharing with us tonight. I think like you have touched everybody on this call, and we're all going to get off of here and be like, "Have you heard Kristy's story? Like, this is life-changing stuff. You have affirmed our belief even more in Plexus. Like, just wow." That's all
And
I can say.
I'm an open book. You guys always can reach out to me. Those of you that are on this call that know me, like I am always happy to help with anything,
Well,
anybody needs.
you are very one Plexus. So I appreciate that about you, and just so appreciative that you shared tonight. We are going to do a quick giveaway before we get off. So I'm going to pick a number. Lisa's going to tell me that person. Number 12, Lisa.
Okay. It's Christina Jolly.
Okay. I know
Yeah.
her.
Okay.
Perfect. So I will reach out to you, Christina, and get you your prize for tonight. Um, but yeah, just thank you so much, and we'll look forward to that recording so
Yep.
we can listen again and share. So thank you so much, Kristy.
Thank
Thank
you,
you for
Christy.
inviting me. Bye,
Yes.
guys. Thank
Bye.
Bye.
you.
Bye.